Sports Look. With the personality.
Yesterday, we did something we like to do on Sports Look from time to time. We spent a few hours with truly a giant in the world of show business and talked about many of his endeavors in the world of sports, some great anecdotes. Jerry Lewis, our guest on Sports. I want to open up with a level and a lighter note. We'll move on and talk a little bit about the Nutty Professor. This is the scene. We're going to talk about these characters that you developed.
Yes, I certainly will. And
this is Dr. Julius Kelp, ladies and gentlemen. You developed this voice, by the way. You actually met the real Dr. Kelp, right? On a train?
No, there was no Dr. Kelp.
But, I mean, there was a guy who sounded
like... that came over and said, are you show people that are going to New York to do some skits? My name is George Hymanton from Timken Bearing out of Pittsburgh. If you'd like a ball bearing, I have 3 in my pocket. I heard that voice. I said, that's a character of some kind. And it stayed back here because Dean and I were still together. And I didn't write Nutty Professor until 7 years after Dean and I split up.
Well, this is the scene where Dr. Kelp decides he needs to pump up, as it were. And this is the famous gym scene. It's a classic. Jerry Lewis, Nutty Professor.
I couldn't help but notice. I was standing here. That's amazing. The way that you push those things up there. It must take a great deal of patience.
And a little muscle.
Oh, yes. Well, you certainly are. Yes, you are. I'd love to be able to. I would really enjoy trying that sometime.
I don't think you'd have the patience for it.
Well, I have the other thing you mentioned, the little muscle. I say that was sort of a corker.
Here, enjoy yourself.
I suspect it was somewhat heavier than I...
Now, the truth is, of course, that's Dr. Kelp. The other one was Buddy Love.
Yeah.
Now, Buddy Love, now this is a fascinating thing. You were just telling me that Andrew Dice Clay, a pretty controversial comic, who was a lot of posture, really told you that he developed his whole style because of Buddy Love.
Right. He just loved Buddy Love better than anyone he's ever seen. And if you watch Dice Clay,
it's true,
you will see that he's really this obnoxious character that he's portraying. And I met him in Vegas, and he's the nicest young kid you'll ever want to meet.
But something comes... It's just an act, then, effectively.
It's all an act, and I got some news for you. Whatever he's doing it well, because that's all anybody's talking about today.
When you developed the Buddy Love character, you told me that you wanted to find the meanest, nastiest, obnoxious people that you... it's a conglomeration of a lot of different bad people. Were you in that group? Were you part of that guy?
I think that, you know, if I wrote it, how did I know some of this ugliness? I had to be a piece of that. And I think that every human being has what I call the human condition menu. Kind, warm, sensitive, ugly, abrasive, gentle, loving, hateful. I think if the human being didn't have all of those things, they would be less than a human being.
But you needed to go through that Jerry stage when you were 20, 22, 23, maybe a little bit of the obnoxious Jerry to get to where you are now, to appreciate it 63, 64 years old, where you are now, right?
I wouldn't change anything if I could go back, because I think you needed to be less humble. I think you needed to be a little obnoxious. I think you needed to be a little me, I, to learn at 64 what you should really do with your life.
Jerry Lewis is our guest. We're going to come back and have some wonderful anecdotes of people he's known